Hello, parents and families, and welcome to Open House. I'm going to go over this little PowerPoint to give you some of the information that you guys need for the beginning of the year. So first, thank you so much for coming to Open House. I am sorry that I could not be here. I had a previous engagement already scheduled, but we have had a blast learning in third grade. So a couple of things to just go over, just so you know. We've been really busy learning, but we've also been doing a ton of assessments. So interims or progress reports will be going home soon. Just kind of keep that in the back of your mind, as there won't be a ton of grades reflected there yet. The second quarter will have more grades added. Now, some of the assessments that we started off the year with, we did our BOG, which stands for Beginning of Grade Tests. We've also done the Amplified DIBELS 8 Reading Assessment, which is where the students do part of it online and part of it with me doing some different reading. And then the students also took the iReady Math and Reading Diagnostic for the beginning of the year. Hopefully you have gotten this sheet back. This is what the BOG score sheet will look like. There's a couple of key items here that I just want to point out. So first, in the top of your score, that is your child's scale score. That bar will go over to represent whether that is not proficient or level 3, level 4, level 5. In order to be proficient, that is going to be a level 3, 4, or 5. Now, with this being the BOG, the chances of your child being proficient are pretty low, because the BOG is essentially like giving them the EOG at the very beginning of school. We do that to see growth over the year. This will act as our pre-test, and then we'll take an EOG at the end of the year, which will act as our post-test, so we can see that growth. We also do the Amplified DIBELS 8 assessment, which assesses a couple of different things. If you've been in Dixon, you've seen this little Running Man sheet come home before, but basically this will assess a student's phonics, their ability to decode, their accurate and fluent reading, their reading comprehension, and their oral language. As they score in different categories, you can kind of see where they compare to what is expected for beginning of the year scores. All of this gets compiled into what we call a Lexile score, which is a measurement of their ability to read words. At the end of the year, we want them to be at a 725, which we'll talk about that a little bit more throughout the year. And the reason why we're going to talk about that is because North Carolina has a Read to Achieve law, which I will reference as RTA. This law does state that every student in third grade must be proficient in reading in order to go on to the next grade. Now, thankfully, there's quite a few ways for students to show proficiency in reading. One of the ways is if they got that level 3, 4, or 5 on the BOG, that could show proficiency in reading. If they get that Lexile score of 725 on that M-Class assessment, that can show proficiency in reading. Completing an RTA portfolio, which is going to be a year-long portfolio that we are working on starting in around October, that could show proficiency. Passing an EOG at the end of the year can also show proficiency. So we have a lot of different options in terms of showing proficiency and a lot of different time opportunities. Your child may already have proficiency now, or it might be at the end of the year. There's no prize if they get proficiency in October versus May. However, that brings us towards the end of the year. So if a child were to get a proficiency rating through one of these other avenues, that's going to be important going into the EOG. We call those safety nets, and the reason why we call them a safety net is because if a child has shown proficiency, let's say by completing that portfolio, when they go into the EOG, if they were to not be proficient, we can fall back on that previously proficient demonstration, which is their portfolio, to say, nope, here's where they were proficient, they move on. This is a very complicated law, so if you have any questions along the way, by all means, reach out. Now, we are also going to, or you are also going to be getting your iReady Math and Reading Diagnostics. I'm a big fan of both of these diagnostics because they act as a mastery. So it is measuring what students can do completely at mastery level, forwards, backwards, upside down, every way it's presented, what have they completely mastered. And it breaks it down by domain, and it breaks it down by grade level. As long as we're in that grade 2 range for beginning of the year, that is a good place to start for starting 3rd grade. All right, if you are here at open house, then you are receiving some federal impact aid cards. If you are here, please do them tonight. They take at most 5 minutes. Dixon has a very high military affiliated population, and because of that large population, we actually get additional funding for different things for the school because of that. But we need all of these impact aid cards to come back so that we can get the appropriate amount of additional funding from the military. This is what it looks like. I will have put the student's first and last name, but that's all I can fill out. You will need to fill out the rest of it. Please, please, please read it carefully. I believe that if you are going to use pen, it has to be black. It can't be any other crazy color. If you are not connected to the military in any way, you're going to check the box C, not federally connected. Last thing that we're going to talk about are grades. In 3rd grade, we start to get letter grades or numerical grades. Students will be graded on their independent work in ELA, math, science, and social studies. Now, because they are brand new to grades, 3rd graders are still trying to figure out what they mean and what they represent. This is the chart that I use in my classroom as I'm kind of helping them navigate what a grade means. I recommend that as graded work is coming home, you can reference that because it's something that I've talked about in the classroom. Graded work pretty much comes home as soon as I can get it out of my hands. Please check the daily homework folders nightly and sign their agendas nightly. That way you're aware of what's upcoming, what dates are coming up, what important things are happening, as well as getting their graded work out of their folders and any additional notes from me. Lastly, the book fair is open today. If you would like to go to the book fair, you are more than welcome to go to the book fair. If you'd rather shop online, that's always an option. If you want your kid to be able to go, but you don't want to send cash with them, definitely sign up for the e-wallet. The link to do so is in the class story on ClassDojo. I will be also sending out some links to sign up for beginning of year conferences, and I would love to be able to meet with everyone, at least at the beginning of the year, just to kind of go over all the quirks and differences of 3rd grade that were not necessarily happening in 2nd grade. Getting a little older, getting a lot more responsibility. We want to make sure we're all on the same team so we can have a good year. Thanks, guys.